This rant consists of copyrighted material owned by Masashi Kishimoto, Viz. Media, Shesuia Inc, Weekly Shonen Jump. The current writers for Naruto manga, all characters, names, and events are mentioned in this video belong to the aforementioned parties. This rant/review is of my property, Match 2128, covered under the Fair Right to Use law. Just because I say the names of certain events doesn't mean you can kick me off the air. Whew. Now we got that out of the way. Match 2128 here to give you his Naruto manga chapter 580 rant/review. Well, we got a little more out of the Uchiha versus Kabuto fight. Apparently the jutsu that Kabuto used at the end of the last chapter, it's some sort of sonic disruptor jutsu. Or something like that, I don't know. It's the best way I can put it. Let me double check though. Okay, it says Hermit Technique, Technique of the White Shock. I think it meant White Snake, but whatever. Apparently it lets out an electric or a sonic shock at this. Okay, it's both a light and sound jutsu that disrupts the ears and eyes of anyone around, so they can't move. Okay, that makes sense. And since snake cornea blocks light from hitting their eyes, and by liquefying his insides, Kabuto is able to resist sonic vibration. And Sasuke is not able to maintain his Susanoo for too much longer. Kabuto decides to go after Itachi first to rewrite the Fuda in his head to make him a pawn again, or better yet, use him as his own. Pulls out the old snake jaw dislocation trick, but Itachi's able to sort of cut him off. Since Itachi has a sensory ability, protects Sasuke. Apparently Itachi was could detect where Kabuto was hiding even when they were controlling him. He was under his control. Kabuto thinks that they shouldn't be able to detect anything. He shouldn't have been able to detect anything, and thinks Itachi is lying to him. However, Itachi never said it was him who could sense your chakra. It was Nagato that was with him at the time, since Itachi doesn't have this kind of power. Plus, he knew what Kabuto was going to target, and he can protect just that. Probably trying to capture Sasuke to gain advantage. And also use Sasuke as leverage against Itachi later on. Best time to do it now, because your technique hasn't been analyzed yet. And of course, Kabuto replies by asking what makes him different from the other Uchiha. Does the powers of the eyes, literally. Reading other people's feelings, and using that during battle. That's why you're so skilled at deceiving people. After all, you die blind. You've always been a liar ninja from the start. Sasuke realizes that Kabuto escapes to the ceiling. Then Kabuto tells him, even if we're 2 against 1, this ragtag duo can't beat his sensing abilities, and besides, all the more considering your brother has been hating you all this time because of your lies. But Itachi then brings up an old memory of Sasuke's from an old hunt from the time the two went hunting together. Or when Itachi he had Sasuke tag along with him for a giant wild boar mission. And yet Sasuke remembers that day. Kabuto doesn't get what they're talking about. I think the boar is called Inoshishi. Don't know what that means. I was thinking it was a giant pig summon, but whatever. Or a giant warthog. Itachi and Sasuke fire Susanoo projectiles that cut down the stalagmites from the ceiling so Kabuto doesn't have anywhere to hide vertically. Smart. Kabuto then tries to steal the snake Sasuke's sword so he can steal the snake, so he can cut his snake tail and take off. But Itachi's not going to have any, which Sasuke figures out. But Itachi's not going to let him have that happen. However, instead, Kabuto stabs Itachi right in the gut. But of course, it's a crow clone. Kabuto is swarmed in a genjutsu, but what good is that if his eyes are shut? But either way, Itachi manages to cut him. At least on the horns. Flashback to the end of the boar mission. Then Sasuke says, before worrying about wild boar, we should think about the snake here. And Itachi agrees. So it looks like the brotherly love between the two has not fully been diminished. Is there still hope for Sasuke to be fully redeemed? No. This is just one. In his mind, Kabuto is just one obstacle he needs to get out of. One more loose end he needs to tie up before going after eradicating the leaf. No matter how much Itachi will try to reason with him, it's not going to happen. Itachi is too bullheaded and tunnel-visioned to lose track of his goal. His ultimate goal of wiping out the leaf and or the allied nations. Allied shinobi villages. As for Kabuto, interesting that he was able to pull off something like this, but I feel that this was a bit of a cop-out, as it's starting to show a bit of Kabuto's arrogance in his own abilities. I mean, he hasn't been using Senjutsu as long as Naruto or Jiraiya ever did. With that said, it's a decent chapter. This is more of a review than a rant for this one, than a full-fledged rant. But I don't really see any hope of Sasuke being completely cleansed or absolved of his crimes. And as far as I'm concerned, when this manga gets to the end, I am not wanting him to be absolved for his crimes. I want him punished to the fullest extent of the law. That said, I'm out. I'll be back later this week with my WrestleMania 28 predictions. Peace out.